How do you feel today? Right now, this exact moment. Do you feel happy? Are you free? Do you think that nothing is holding you back and that you are exploiting most of your intellectual and physical potential in your daily life? If you're asking these questions a Syrian civilian today while there's civil war going on, you're completely crazy. But what about people who are living in societies without war, much violence and famine? Are they totally fulfilled human beings, one step from divine existence? I will argue that most of us are living in some form of hegemony and imprisonment, not allowed to be fully free human beings. This is just the structure of our society, and it was like that for millennia. Before we start, let me be honest and say that I don't consider Office Space to be a cinematic masterpiece. It is not. But the message it carries is very important, and it has the ability to criticize some things that do not work optimally in a modern society. So, including Office Space into the film magistry's cinematic pantheon is not because of the cinematography or the marvelous storytelling. It is solely because of its very important message and critique that should be taken very seriously by all of us. The first scene of the movie is something I'm sure everyone tried who lived in a fairly large city. Actually, I tried it 2 days ago when I had to drive my daughter to the other side of the city. It was a morning traffic, and it was a living hell with jammed traffic everywhere. No matter where I turned, it felt like a dead end. I am 100% sure that sitting in traffic makes you a worse person than you truly are. Unless you're Buddha, you can't avoid it affecting your mood. How can you when you think how many days, weeks, even years you spent just sitting in traffic? And for what? Office Space was released in 1999, so 20 years ago, but the problem it raises are still very much relevant today. The main character is Peter Gibbons, a tired and demotivated programmer who works for an IT company called Initech. He and the rest of the staff suffer on a daily basis under the terrible and redundant management. The person Peter hates the most is his boss, Bill Lumberg, who always gives him extra work, even in weekends. One day Peter goes to a hypnotherapy session. The therapist dies of a heart attack, but Peter gets extremely self-confident and energized, and he begins to not to care about his job responsibilities. Peter, his friends Michael and Samir, and the rest of the colleagues are caught in a redundant management nightmare where their numeral superiors tell them countless times all the errors and mistakes they made during their workday. The bureaucracy has no end, and it's all possible because of the exercise of power, showing off who's the boss and who's the slave. Franz Kafka described the bureaucratic nightmare in his great works, The Trial and Metamorphosis. Not too far from him stands George Orwell in his 1984.
Yeah, you apparently didn't put one of the new cover sheets on your TPS reports?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry about that. I forgot.
Yeah. You see, we're putting the cover sheets on all TPS reports now before they go out. Did you see the memo about this?
Yeah.
Every time we see the office space of the company where Peter and others work, we see a large banner that says, "Is this good for company?" Okay, but what about people? Is anything we do on the job good for employees and their mental health? Do they even matter at all? Let's face it, workers are always disposable and replaceable, and that is how companies often treat them. Workers sacrifice a big chunk of their life to companies. For what? A salary, yes, but also the abuse, the stress and mental pressure that no salary can cover and justify. And that's a fact, most likely. The irritating part is when Peter's boss, Lumberg, announces that next Friday is a Hawaiian shirt day. No, Peter and all others want a humane relationship, not quasi-perks of wearing a casual wardrobe once a week. How about a 4-day working week, as some companies have introduced to their employees? What about larger salaries? Or how about better and cheaper food in the canteen? In a scene where Peter is having a meeting with 2 business consultants, he really doesn't give a damn, and so he's very honest and blunt about his workplace.
You see, what we're actually trying to do here is we're trying to get a feel for how people spend their day at work. So, if you would you walk us through a typical day for you?
Yeah.
Great.
Well, I generally come in at least 15 minutes late. I use the side door. That way Lumberg can't see me. And after that, I just sort of space out for about an hour. Till I'm thirsty.
Space out?
Yeah, I just stare at my desk. But it looks like I'm working.
The consultants are so impressed with Peter's openness that they even promote him, but Michael and Samir, however, get fired. They decide together with Peter to get revenge on Inditech by planting a computer virus designed to channel fractions of pennies into their bank account. On their last day at the company, they steal often malfunctioning printer and they smash it to pieces on a field. This scene is the embodiment of the enormous frustration workers feel on their jobs. They feel pressured by the amount of the nature of their work. They are stressed and not appreciated. I am not going to reveal the third act and the ending, but the point of this satire is that many workers are feeling trapped in meaningless jobs, rules and regulations. As Peter says to Michael,
I don't know what happened to me at that hypnotherapist, and I don't know, maybe it was just shock and it's wearing off now, but when I saw that fat man keel over and die, Michael, we don't have a lot of time on this earth. We weren't meant to spend it this way. Human beings were not meant to sit in little cubicles staring at computer screens all day, filling out useless forms and listening to 8 different bosses drone on about mission statements.
so just like Peter, we, all the workers in the world, need a new perspective. A hypnosis, if you will, a new state of mind where we put ourselves, human beings, in focus, and definitely before big corporations, which mostly care about market shares and profit. But we also need to recognize this problem as a political, not economical, challenge. What is needed to be done requires political and societal changes that will drastically reform labor market. We need a system and a society that will first and foremost respect people as dignified and worthy human beings that should be respected and treated well. But we, the people, need to take a good look at ourselves. As the great football keeper Gianluigi Buffon said, if you always seek external solutions to your internal problems, you will never be able to really solve them, and you will never be able to judge yourself and value yourself for what you're worth. You'll always be looking for external help, alibis, excuses. So this is an internal problem we all have to acknowledge, the systematic error that needs to be addressed by the society. Right now, we all lie to ourselves that everything is great, while the number of people who get stressed, mentally ill, is skyrocketing. Until then, we should all strive to tear down the hated cubicle walls, just as Peter Gibbons did.